We'll now move to our second feature poet of the day, Hayden Saunier. She is the author of 6 poetry collections, the most recent titled Wheel, which appeared just last year from Terrapin Books. Hayden's work has received many awards over the years. It's received a Pushcart Prize, the Nimrod International Pablo Neruda Prize, the Rattle Poetry Prize, and the Gell Poetry Prize. It's appeared in many publications, some of them being The Sun, 32 Poems, a magazine I like a lot, Smartish Pace, Shenandoah, and the Virginia Quarterly Review, among many others. Hayden founded and directs the interactive poetry performance group, No River Twice. Please welcome Hayden Saunier.
Get my stopwatch on in case I start babbling, and keep an eye on my time. Hi, thank you so much, Stefan. I'm delighted to be here. Wow, thank you for all of those beautiful poems. Claire and Tracy and Alejandro and Eileen. What beautiful work. I was thinking about what I wanted to read today. I'm going to read a couple of poems from this book, Wheel, and a few new poems, but mostly I was thinking about sticking with poems about connection, because like these events in which we have the opportunity to hear each other, like art in general, these things connect us deeply, and the importance of that kind of connection all the time, especially now. So I'm going to start with a new poem called The Spin. My washing machine won't operate without the matte black hardcover American Heritage Dictionary, 5th edition, placed atop its lid. I no longer question this. I've tested other titles, War and Peace, the Oxford Shakespeare, Sibley's Guide to Birds, but nothing churns the agitator like this fat tome, jacket off and covers closed, as if both book and washer need a steady privacy, because deep mechanics are at play. So each time a cycle spins, the words thrill to every oddball meaning shaken from their origins and definitions, letters light-headed to find themselves new constellations of black stars spangled in a white night sky. Until, like riders giddy from the tilt-a-whirl, they settle back, breathless, into the safety of their carefully parsed lives. Still, something's been exchanged. A sock always elopes, seeking a more exciting life, but that's a price I'd gladly pay for how these sheets and shirts take on a knowingness that seeps into my skin to tell me every single thing's alive and has a secret life, and we are all inside the spin. And then, because this is a book festival, I thought I would read this very new poem, Reasons to Read. So Atticus tells Scout it's a sin to kill a mockingbird, but then Atticus has to shoot a rabid dog, which is important to know, because the mockingbird singing his head off outside my window may very well be insane. He's running through his hopped-up repertoire of other bird songs, top speed and volume, day and night, as if the privet hedge were an all-night karaoke bar. Not that I know about those. I'm no singer. I smoked way too many cigarettes as a teen, and honestly, out of the 10,000 hours Malcolm Gladwell says we need to master anything, I gave singing maybe 12. But this isn't about regrets, although I have those. I simply want to sleep. My antiquated field guide states this kind of mockingbird behavior is territorial, or a gleefulness in search for a mate, which sounds like anxiety and mania to me, those modern banners we march under now. I, too, am anxious, enough to rummage up a slingshot and dried peas, make shrapnel of the leaves. But now, because I've studied him, watched him strut and fret across the walk, join forces with a house finch to harass the cat, perform his two-step wing fluff insect hunting dance, because I've learned that he calls out at night in fear and loneliness. I know him, the way I know Scout and Atticus, Langston Hughes, Macbeth, how he's like me and not like me, how he sings what he must sing, the way I have to write, how summer will be over soon for all of us. So this book pretty much organizes itself around the cyclical pieces of life. I live on a farm, so the last 10 years that I've been there, it's been really heartening to see things continue even when I think the world is coming to an end. So there are a couple of poems in here, several named Wheel. It's kind of a sonata thing. I'm not going to read those, but I'm going to read some of the other poems, smaller, that punctuate the book. Proverb. Gray-green patches of lichen line up on the roof slates, like lacy rosettes on a sash awarded for tenacity, each a perfect color match to the splintered slats, gray-green with age, on the clapboard walls below. Lucky are those who find home. Luckier those who learn to become it. I always like to have at least one dog poem in a poetry reading. So this is one called The Story Their Way. I have a dog whose name is Cleo, C-L-I-O, the muse of history, which comes in useful sometimes when I'm walking. The Story Their Way. Cleo, muse of history, walks with me morning and evening, her nose to the air, to the ground, through sweet corn and bean fields, through pastures and steep-sided woods packed with walnuts and cedar, as she follows the spiced, earthy, present tense only. Not me. I'm ragged with news of what's happened and what is to come. We crisscross the creek where she drinks as I deal out fat sycamore leaves to the current, watch them ride for the river. But mostly, they snag up, spin slowly in eddies, and sink. We move on. Cleo doesn't waste time on the past. She knows what happened, how everyone else tells the story their way. She's a dog with no dog in the fight. Not that she's blameless, just honest. Sometimes when I call her to walk, she's stretched in the shade on a stone step, licking her chops at the chicken house door. Speaking of the news, human interest story. Last bit of the newscast, a tiny Tinkerbell-sized light lifted from the dank bottom of the jam-packed Pandora's box of horrors just unleashed at us, with shrieking Chiron banners and pop-up advertisements for which heinous true crime story or FBI procedural is coming up. But for 30 seconds, we see puppies rescued from a storm drain, A wedding ring returned to a recent widow after it was lost for 50 years in a Nebraska cornfield. And yesterday, a man with one arm paralyzed was offered a simple loop to bind his dead arm to his working one in such a way that he could now raise both arms above his head in a ballerina's O, lift them over his young son's body to hug him back. And I can't stop seeing the look on their faces, lit so brightly from within. It's hauled me through this whole next day on hope. I'm going to read two more. I love thrift stores. Spell. Unlikely find in a thrift store's back bin, linen sheets that when washed and fitted to my bed felt so light I slept in them as though I had become a gauzy net of spun flax, woven to so delicate a mesh that the weight of every woe that had befallen me had somehow fallen through me, dropped away from me magically, and none of it mattered. I tell you, this was fairy tale stuff. I had no ragged edges whip-stitched into worms, no scars, no patches, scorch marks, burns. I was part of everything apart from nothing. Yet when I woke afraid. Now, what was I to do? Walk out into the world without my tragedies, without my griefs, packed into the long drawn-out shadow I dragged as ballast behind me for years. No need to worry. Spells don't last. They're beauties in their brevity. But sometimes I can summon this one back when sheets are freshly washed and smoothed across the bed. I close my eyes, lie lightly in the weave, and for a moment, I become 1,000 sky blue blossoms floating in a field of flax, unthreshed, unbroken, and unspun. And I'm gonna finish with a poem. I first heard something on NPR so that when I passed a brochure for green burial, I picked it up and wrote this poem. Self-portrait as 3 cubic feet of compost. That's 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet, and will require a small truck to move, meaning I won't have that light and airy feel of ash, nor will I lift and vanish like a cloud ascending, holy, 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 when cast to the winds. I'll have heft. The brochure describes a layering of wood chips, alfalfa, straw, and me in a careful blend of nitrogen and carbon nestled inside a steel cylinder. Then, 6 weeks later, voila, topsoil. Upside, no carbon footprint, no chemicals, no hot burn, because we've had enough of fires, haven't we? Downside, you can't just leave me in a drawer or on a closet shelf or sell me in my porcelain urn at a yard sale by mistake. I'll be work, you'll have to shovel me. So I suggest you simply dump me on the bigger compost heap and turn me for a season, then pay me out in spring to flower beds, red raspberries. Oh, to be threaded through with root, crisscrossed by traceries of vole and worm and grub, and what frisson thrills 1,000 diamond points of frost and freeze may bring. By then, I'll be completely us, it, them, and we. We'll germinate, get rinsed away, cling to a snowy egret's awkward yellow feet, fly, plummet, land, and settle back into the suck of black-gray mud. We'll collapse in cool, dark corridors. We'll send up spiky stalks of pink-streaked lotus buds, enclosing hearts made strange with chartreuse fruit and golden fringe. There'll be no end to us.
Thank you, Hayden. That was beautiful. What a perfect way to conclude the book festival this year. Thank you. And thanks again to Eileen for reading today. Greatly appreciate both of you being here. One more round of applause for the two features. And thanks to Tracy and Clare and Alejandro for reading as well. And for all of you for coming. Some of you are certainly familiar faces, and some maybe I haven't seen before. So keep checking us out. Like I said, this reading series is every second Sunday. The next reading is going to be at the Ivy Bookshop. But if you just look up the Hot L online or check out the Ivy's calendar, you'll see our upcoming events. And with that, also thank you to the Ivy, Maggie, Emma, and Hannah for allowing us to be here. I have some back issues of Smartish Pace here that are available for free. I'm going to leave them up there. But please consider buying the Poets books. I'm sure they'd love to sign them for you today. Thanks, everybody.